Hi, so I'm Nikki. Like she said, I was in her honors Algebra 2 class as a sophomore, and I started off, it was really rocky. It was a really hard class at first, and everyone else around me was getting A's, all my friends, and they were all signing the board. I never got to sign the board until I don't know, halfway through the year, and it was really frustrating for me at first. And I guess geometry was really hard for me because it's a lot different. You'll see next year. It's just so if you don't feel like you like algebra very much, you'll probably really like geometry. And if you really like algebra, geometry might not be your favorite, but all math is good math. And so I always had friends that did really well, and I hated it because I felt like I was trying really, really hard. You guys might feel like that, and then other people around you aren't trying very hard, but they're getting A's and A pluses and signing the board. And I don't know, then I just really kicked it up a gear, I guess, and tried really, really hard and decided to do my math homework at night, every night, and making sure I understood every problem, making sure that I checked my work and making sure that it was correlating with what the notes were saying. And then I remember taking a test and just walking out of the test and actually feeling good and being oh, I might have actually done well on that. And so I walked out that day, and I remember she graded so fast, and I'm sure I got the grade the same day, and I actually got a good grade, and I felt I was with the people around me and actually understanding what I was doing, and that made me excited for the next year of math, because I finally found I was getting into something that I could be good at. And then the next year of math came, and that was honors pre-calculus, and I had Mr. Borgia. I don't know if you guys know who he is yet. Are you guys freshmen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you know he's the bald guy? He looks really serious. Yeah. He's a sweetheart. He's a little teddy bear, so don't be afraid of him. So I went into his class, and he was really scary, and he never smiled like Miss Roman does. And then I walked in, and it was the same thing all over again. It was just horrible, and I wasn't doing well, and everyone else around me was oh my God, this is easier than Algebra 2, and I'm what are you talking about? And everyone just understood, and I didn't. And I went up to Mr. Borgia, and I was okay, I really think I need to drop. I think I need to drop to maybe regular pre-calculus. This might be too much for me. And he absolutely refused. He wouldn't sign the papers. He wouldn't do anything. He was I will not let you drop this class, which was horrible, but amazing at the same time. And that's when I decided, okay, maybe I need to try and kick it up another gear. I used to do my homework 3 times a night. It was so hard. But every time I did it, I felt I was gaining a little bit more understanding than I did the first time or the second time or the third time. And then I would come into class and still be lost, but I was that kid that everyone hated, that asked way too many questions. And people would oh my God, Nikki's asking another question. But at the end of the day, I was learning more than they were. And you guys are doing factoring right now, right? Yeah. I never learned how to factor. I just used the quadratic formula for every single problem. And I don't know about you guys, but I got overloaded with factoring questions because it's so important later on in math. And so I was always using that formula, which takes so much more time than it should. And I remember I walked into my junior class, and at the end of a really hard problem, he had to factor out something. And well, he did it so quickly, and I raised my hand. I was oh, could you just go over that last part again? He's no, that's the easy stuff. We already got through the hard stuff. And I was oh no, now what do I do? And I just remember after class, I went up to him and I was no, seriously, can you please go over this? And he was no, that's factoring. And I looked at him, and I was just kind of I don't really know how to factor. And he was what? He was just oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You don't know how to factor? So now he brags all the time to other teachers that he's the one that taught me how to factor. And it's some big deal, which it is, because I used it forever. And then I went on into more pre-calc, and I got better and better. It was still a really hard class, but I got better and better. But at the end of the year, I was I don't want to take AP Calc. You guys know my class. It's really scary with Mr. Johnson. And I was I don't want to take that class. It's horribly hard. People who are good at math say how hard it is. I don't want to do it. And I told Mr. Borgia that, and he was yeah, I'm not signing, that paper that you fill out for classes you want to take. he's like, yeah, no, I'm not letting you take stats and was it intro to calc? He's like, I'm not letting you take that. And I was like, great. He's like, you are going to take calc AB. So we kind of settled on like a calc AB, which there's AB and then there's BC. And BC is like the second level and AB is like the first level. So we settled on the first level and got into that class and it was like starting all over again. I just felt like I wasn't doing well at all. And Mr. Johnson makes that class really hard, so that way when you go into the AP test, it's like easier than you thought it would be. That didn't really happen for me. I like walked out and I was like, I failed that test. Like I did not get one question right. But I ended up passing, like more than passing, and I did a lot better than I thought I would. And now I'm at Michigan and I teach math to other people. I tutor to athletes and I teach Calc 1 sometimes, which I never thought I would do, but I help my friends with like Calc 1, which is super hard at Michigan. So if you go there, take Calc here first and don't take it there. But yeah, so I guess I'm just here to kind of like talk about like being able to like recognize like when you're like having trouble and like being able to like talk to your teachers and being like, what do I do? Like, do I step it up a notch? Do I like keep doing what I'm doing? Like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I trying hard enough? Like asking yourself, like, am I trying hard enough or like, can I put in more? And I always thought like, no, I'm trying my best. And then I'm like, well, wait, what if I did this? And then I started doing better after doing that. And then like trying even harder. And then I would do even better after that. So I guess that's what I'm really here to say. So yeah.
What questions might you have for Nikki?
It's okay if you don't have any questions.
And how did you feel? Oh, go ahead, Trey.
Is your math homework real hard when you go to school?
Is my math homework really hard?
Yeah, like do you sometimes still have like problems?
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. I always feel like I need to ask for help, like all the time, and it's not something I'm embarrassed about anymore. I used to be really embarrassed because like I felt like everyone else got it and I didn't, you know? But like now, like I go to my professor all the time, like I go to my teachers, like I need help. It's still really hard, yeah, but like it gets better though, because you get used to it being hard.
What do you think your best year for math was?
Like best academically, or best like I felt like I got the most out of it.
You got the most out of it.
Probably Calc 1, just because like I never thought I could do it. Like I walked into it thinking like I can't do it. Like walked in with that sort of attitude, and then but then at the end I passed the final. But like academically I did best in Miss Roman's class because like that's when I realized like math isn't just something I can just like kind of skate by, and it's something I have to like work on and like really try in.
Did you like start after school like you did like homework and stuff?
I guess that depends. So I would try like studying for a test or like for homework.
Just a regular study.
Just a regular studying time. Probably 2 or 3 hours total on like a regular day. But like if I had an exam or like if I had homework that was like really tricky, I would do the homework probably 2 or 3 times, which however long that takes, which wasn't fun, but it was worth it. Anything else?
Nikki, we had a lot of conversations back then when she would feel discouraged.
Oh
right?
yeah, and I would come to Miss Roman all the time, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
And I would always tell her that the skills that she's bringing to the table, the perseverance that she's bringing to the table is going to pay off for her.
yeah,
Even more so even than people for whom it came easy, that other adults will recognize
So true.
in her. Do you
So
do you
true.
think?
The harder you have to try, the better you are in the long run.
right,
The-
exactly. The skills that you make from just like trying really hard, even if you don't understand like what's actually happening. Like, I'm telling like you're not learning Calc 1 to like know how to like do all like derivatives, and you're not learning Algebra 2 or Algebra. We are in Algebra 1.
Yeah.
You're not learning Algebra 1 to like factor. You're learning Algebra 1 to like learn like the thinking and the skills behind it all to use like later in life.
And do you find that that paid off for you?
Oh yeah, it paid off like a ton. So like I'm pre-med, and like I don't really like you have to think a lot in that kind of field, and you do a lot of like critical thinking, and like you do a lot of that in like algebra, and you do like a lot of problem solving, and like a lot of like diagnosing problems and just making sure that you're doing the right thing. And then like when you find out you're not doing the right thing, like how do I fix that and make sure I am doing the right thing? So Yeah. It helps in the long and making friendships with like teachers, like I have like Mrs. Roman, like you guys, I mean, you're probably not thinking about it, but like you're gonna apply to college in 2 years, and like you're gonna need friendships with teachers, and they're gonna have to write you letters and say like nice things about you, and like be able to like say like this girl was like really tried hard in my class. Like her grade might not, like I remember Mr. Borgia wrote a letter about me, and I got a C in his class one semester, and he said to me, he was like, but he made a letter, and it was like her grade might not have reflected it, but she tried harder than any of the other kids in my class. So like, if you're just looking at her GPA and her transcript and thinking, this is not the kid I want at my university, well, like you're wrong. And this girl brings a lot more to the table than just her grade point average, you know.
Perfect. So let's see what you remember, Nikki. Do
Oh,
you
no.
remember how to factor?
We can try.
Put her on the spot.
This is so really scary. You have to like call me out and like tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Like please. So I think this one, it's just.
Oh, it'll take a second to write it. There you
Okay.
go.
Ms. Roman, do you want me to film this?
You can stop.